Side is a pretty good side, and we saw it on match day one for them against Argentina, where I watched that one start to finish. One of the games I almost couldn't turn off because of everything that was happening, and then it finishes a couple hours later in the end. But they're a really solid side.
I echo everything you're saying. I wouldn't go as far to say it's a success when you lose.
Getting out of the group for the first time in 24 years. We measure this men's team differently.
Those are stats. Like, I'm looking at sure, but I'm looking at what happened on the field in the group stage. You beat two really bad teams that you're expected to beat, and you beat them with a lot of personality, and that's great for the U.S. You expect the U.S. to do that, and you lost to a better team, and then if you lose to Morocco, like, if you're a success, I think, is beating Morocco. If you succeed, you have to go past the expectations. It goes back. I'll harken back to the whole conversation we had at the World Cup with the senior team. You beat the teams you're supposed to beat. You lost the teams that people thought you were going to lose to. I can't qualify that as success. You did all right. Thumbs up. You competed. You did what you needed to do. I think as a collective, there needs to be a responsibility that we should expect these players and these teams to achieve.
In 22, for me, if you're going to make that argument, I got exactly what I expected from the U.S. side. It's exactly where I expected them to be. Here, I'm sorry, Alan, they're in the place I expect them to be right now. Right? Yep. For me, I expected them to get out of this group.
If they lose to Morocco, is this a pass or fail? If that's your only option, pass or fail. And I think that goes back to the argument.
It's too easy for a U.S. national team at an Olympics. It's too easy for
let me finish, and I think you'll understand where I'm coming from. If the question is, did they pass or fail? We have to say it's a pass. Did they exceed your expectations? Did they shine above what you expected? No. I think all three of us agree. This is what we thought would happen.
Bare minimum.
But you didn't surprise me. Go out against this Morocco team, surprise me. If not, okay, you got out of the group. That's good. So it's not good enough.
If they lose against Morocco, is it pass or fail? When we go to the, I don't know the answer yet for me. When we go to the Olympics in any sport, what's the expectation?
Medal.
Whereas we're going to be we're going to win a medal, right? And I think that is pass for me for this side. When I think about the Olympics, under 23, essentially under 23 tournament with some overage players. That one, I still don't know the answer.
Going into this, your expectation was that they would medal, the U.S.?
Yeah, I mean, you get out of the group, you're in the quarterfinals.
You're going to win one more game and you're playing for a medal.
To have a chance to play for a medal.
Yeah, I completely agree.
You know what I mean? So
you convinced me, Tony.
I want to say pass because we haven't done it for how many years?
This is the first time in 24 years the U.S. have advanced to the knockouts.
Okay, so I want to say pass because of that, but like I had expectations in the last 24 years that we would have done this already. You know?
Right. Previous fails doesn't make this automatically a pass, but if you're grading on a curve, you kind of got to say fine.
There's no curve here. There's no curve here. There's a reality. You played 3 games. You lost pretty badly. The result says you lost pretty badly against France, and you won the next 2 games. All right, this is a challenge. It's the quarterfinals of the Olympics. The U.S., just like in any other sport, obviously there are greater advantages that the U.S. has in other sports, but we're at the Olympics. You want the medal. You want to walk home. These guys want to walk home for them. These guys, if they lose, you know what? If they lose to Morocco, the 18 players on the squad, they will have felt like they failed their objective.
Absolutely.
And I think, and that's what matters most. And I don't want to, we need to walk away from sugarcoating and you know, tossing flowers when flowers aren't deserved. The U.S. doesn't, I'm going to go back and I'm going to agree with Tony. The U.S. doesn't beat Morocco. We didn't end up achieving the objective, which is a medal. And that's the standard that as a footballing nation, we should hold every single one of our national teams, because we have infrastructures in place, we have money that's being invested into our sport. That's our standard that we should hold our teams at.
And look, I don't
want to be soft on these national teams because it's like a pass, and we want to be nice to like.
I don't disagree with either of you. But we're also not the only country that has infrastructure and money being poured into the sport. So for me, it's really hard. Separate from that.
That's the nature of competition, though.
But for me, in particular, it's really hard to look at this and separate it from the greater picture of U.S. men's national team and the U.S. men's soccer program. It's just hard. It's just hard for me to look at this and not think about what's happened in the recent history. So I'm going to go and say it may be a light pass, It may be barely a pass, but for me, it's a pass. You didn't shine. I'm not walking away with a ton of confidence and saying we're on the right path. But at least this isn't yet another failure, another stinker of a job. I walk away feeling that if we lose to Morocco. I'm not happy. I'm not proud. But at least I'm not sad. Does that make sense?
This team hasn't done poorly, right? They haven't done poorly in this competition.
No.
The question was, where you draw the line, basically, on is this a pass or fail for this team? I find, for me personally, I find it hard to equate anything that this team does with the U.S. men's national team. Like anything that happened in the summer. I look at this, I want to say it's a youth tournament, right, with pros that play. I mean, that's unfortunately or fortunately the moment we're in world football, and all these guys are making pros at 18 years old. So this is a youth tournament in air quotes with guys that are playing at professional level. I'm like I said from the start though, I'm happy with where they're going right now. Right, but now you got to take.
I'm also excited with what I'm seeing from some of the bench players.
No doubt.
Yao in particular just shining. Paredes getting it together on a somewhere on the pitch that he normally doesn't play. There's a lot of really positives to take from what's happening.
And look, similarly, let's look at it from the Moroccan perspective. If Morocco goes out to the U.S., that's unarguably got to be seen as a failure.
Abject failure,
obviously, right? Because they were so good in the group stage. But that's the nature.
They beat
the nature of
Argentina.
football.
They finished up with the group.
At the same time, there could be positive feelings. All right, it wasn't a great game against the United States or Morocco, and you end up losing, right? But there's a certain standard Moroccans hold themselves at. There's a certain standard we must hold ourselves at. And this is the next big test for this group.
This Moroccan side is a pretty